before I start, gloss will not be included in this video because I started working on this way before gloss was rated, so yeah. Who doesn't love a unique level? Levels that don't care what everyone else is doing and just take on their own path. Whether it's deco-wise, gameplay-wise, or both at the same time. But there's one person, one creator, who takes this way farther than everyone else, making gameplay never seen before, topped off with a simplistic yet effective deco style. And it's not for the sake of being quirky, that's just what he likes to make. This is Shmigels, and they have 3 rated levels. I originally completed all these levels, and they are very fun. Let me introduce you to the insanity that are Shmigels extremes. I'm going to be going in order from oldest to newest right here, so we're going to start off with a level called Miss You. The first 27 seconds are structured in a very specific way. You have like a little maze and the song goes, Miss you, miss you, and then you just do some timings when the song does that. Some of the clicks in these parts are actually really clever, like using the blocks as obstacles, and this one slope bug, which we'll see more of later. Overall, the beginning plays pretty well, but there are some small things you have to practice a lot. That's going to be a theme of Shmigels gameplay. There's always just a few times that seem really hard at first, but get way easier with practice. So enough of that beginning, what's next? Oh my god. This is the highlight of this entire level. This duel is so difficult, and so complex, so technical. I can't even explain what's going on here. You just have to get a feel for it, and then you just do it. It took me over 1,000 attempts to do it once, but once you get it down, and I mean like really get it down, you have to practice so much. It plays pretty well. Also, another thing I want to say is you have to do it very specifically. So specific that if you exit as the wrong player, you become a gravity ball instead of a cube, and the part becomes impossible. Next, it drops in difficulty a little bit. This all was a really crazy beginning, but we do slow down afterwards. This wave isn't very hard, but you better be good at memory because you have this little thing right here. Next, you have like this city part, which is honestly a little harder than it looks. After that, you have some more memory. This time, we're dealing with invisible stuff too. It takes a very long time to get used to this whole part, but it is pretty consistent in the end. It's also very satisfying to pull off, especially when you get to the end and you get to that last ship. Oh my god. Speaking of last ship, take a look at this. Yeah, one of the most brutal last ships I've ever seen. You need to go through these blocks and hit the ceiling without touching these blocks. And it's definitely as hard as it looks. There's so many examples of the people just barely not making it. So yeah, that's just a taste for how Shmigels gameplay is. It always tries something new in the most diabolical way possible. And I'm all for it because I had a blast beating this. Shmigels not only knows how to make crazy gameplay, but he also knows how to make it enjoyable. That's just what I think though. Let's see what some other people have to say. The duel wasn't possible when you tried learning it. Half of my attempts were just from learning this part, because some parts of it require really precise timings, and it's just a hard part to figure out. It is, however, the most fun part of the level, as once you get it fully down, the flow of it is amazing, and you just have to play it for yourself to experience it. However, some people definitely do disagree with me though, which is understandable because, yeah. I love how this level looked, and I love the ideas in the gameplay, but I ended up becoming very frustrated while I was playing it. I wish I could have enjoyed it more, but past 40%, it was literally just about trying to control my nerves. Now let's talk about Miss You's deco. Out of all 3 levels, this one has the best decoration in my opinion. It's obviously not trying to be complex. Miss You focuses more on identity, I guess you could say. The simplicity works really well here, and the subtle effects on top of it are really nice. I think one of the reasons I like this deco style so much despite it being so simple is because of the structuring. A lot of people just take the easy way out, do like basic square structures, maybe add a little slope here and there. But no, Shmigels just does absolutely everything different. And when you have like these super awesome structures with this kind of simple style, it works really well together. One criticism I have though, is that I would have just added a tad bit more detail in the ending until it goes completely black. The puzzling blocks are cool on their own, but I would have just added at least one more thing that's not them. Especially since the song still has some energy, it's just fading out slowly. They could have both been fading out at the same time. Overall, I love Miss You all around, but it's definitely the hardest Shmigels level for people to enjoy because it just look at it. This level gives you an experience that no other level can give you, not even the other Shmigels levels. So if you truly want to just dive into the unusual and diabolical side of GD, try this. Maddening is definitely more accessible, but still with some crazy gameplay. Miss You was constructed in a very specific way, but Maddening feels more all over the place. It's like the level is trying to do everything at the same time. And I actually think that fits well here because, well, listen to the song. Yeah, see what I mean? I don't expect anything normal with this song. Anyways, this short beginning part isn't too worth talking about, but afterwards we're thrown into so much insanity. First you have like this semi-invisible ball maze, then you see a photo of some tomfoolery followed with an upward wave spam. Yeah, here's the first issue. This upward wave spam is just too hard. It can get kind of consistent, but it's still a choke point. In fact, this wave spam is very infamous for people who know this level, along with one other choke point which we will see right now. We have this pretty easy cube maze with some mirror portals. It's still pretty easy, and oh, what's that? Another choke point at the very end of it. But it may not be as bad as it looks. You see, if you hold on the blue orb normally here, you only get a few frames to pull this off. But if you jump off of the block first and then hit the blue orb, it's pretty much easy. I wish I discovered this when I beat the level. But no, it just had to be like a few days after. If you plan on beating this level, please use this strategy. It'll be worth your while. Unfortunately, there is no skip for the wave, so that is still required. Man, I'm talking like summoning Saul right now. Oh, you can skip this, but they discovered that you can skip that as well. So yeah, those two things bring the gameplay down if you don't do the skip like I did. And after that, you have an actually possible wave, even though it's still a little tricky. And then the most satisfying few parts ever. Let me just play the parts with clicks and show you. Oops. I love this part of the level so much. It's not too hard compared to the rest of the level, but it's just so satisfying to pull off. Oh, and we can't have a shmigels level without a duel. This one isn't nearly as hard as the Miss You one, and it's shorter, but there's many small things to remember. It also feels a little janky, but it's alright. I highly prefer the duel in Miss You though. And now that we're out of there, we have this super confusing maze. Just kidding, it lasts for 3 seconds and we go Yeah, this level was pretty first half heavy. Next up, we have a theory of everything type pick a path, and this is the correct way. And this ending is amazing, but if you mess up in the slightest, you're done for. It's pretty chokeable because of how strict everything is, but it plays pretty well. This level's gameplay was really hard to talk about, but I tried. Overall, I love how it just throws all these crazy things at you because it just matches with the silly song. But I just wish it didn't have all these choke points, especially because they're pretty big ones. Now onto the deco. On the surface, it's just a design level. Okay, actually, this is my least favorite shmigels level deco-wise. It's just a bit too simple in a lot of areas, and I feel like the emptiness has a more drastic effect on this level rather than Miss You, probably because of the brightness of the level. But the thing that saves this all for me, once again, is the structuring, something that Shmigels has proven time and time again he's mastered. It's so crazy, there's always something new to look at. Whether it's flying blocks, this maze, or this deformed thingy, there's always something around every corner. That's what makes this level such a fun time. I just wish it had just more stuff. I guess now in this point in the video I want to mention, all 3 of these levels I'm talking about today are actually pretty old. It's just that Shmigels just went back and finished them now. And it seems like he has quite a few levels like that. So if he was over here making some crazy stuff a few years ago, better watch out for the stuff he's making today. Now onto the final level. Laranja, azul, rosa. You may have heard about this one because it's one of 2 disliked extreme demons, right below Slater. When this first got rated, people really didn't like the decoration, but nowadays I hear more people complaining about the gameplay in the GD comments. Despite its 76.94 average enjoyment. According to Shmigels, this level is very restrictive, having no move triggers, mostly solid objects, and 3 colors. Take a wild guess what those colors are. The gameplay in this one is easily the tamest, so it's a great starter extreme for getting into quirky gameplay. The gameplay is like maddening, where it's really all over the place, but I feel like it doesn't work as well here. The level seems more serious rather than goofy, and I would have preferred a level structure more like Miss You, especially since it just uses an extruller song. The gameplay plays just like maddening as well, so you feel like one of the levels you're gonna like the other one for sure. But it also has the same choke point problem, and there's arguably even more here. Stuff like 5%, 30%, 32%, especially 70%. Stuff like that can get really annoying over time. But when you get every part down and string them all together, it feels so amazing. And there's just a ton of small sections that have really clever gameplay and plays so well. And you can just tell Shmigels know what they were doing here. I'm actually going to be talking about the deco more than the gameplay, unlike the other 2 levels. So let's begin on that. When the colors go dark, it's so ugly. Like, I love the concept of this level, but when the colors go dark, it makes me want to vomit. This level works so well when the colors are all bright. You can see it happen in a few parts. It genuinely looks really good. But why? Another thing I want to mention is that a few spots in the level, not too much, but there's default spikes. Why? This isn't matched at all, and it stands out so much as being too ugly. I just think using the colored spikes are better. And my last complaint is something I said for the other Shmigels levels, is that it's just too empty in some areas. I can excuse this one a little bit more because of like the no move triggers rule. You can't really have like custom backgrounds like Miss You, and I think maddening had a few. Even with the limitations, you can still make it kinda full. Like, there's just some really big, like, openings where there's just nothing, and those really just stand out. Despite those issues, this level has so many great ideas it brings to the table. Like this one circle thing that lasts for 2 seconds, which looks really cool. The beginning with all the weird slope mountain thingies. These clubstep monsters, which I want to give names but I have no ideas. This one wave. This other one wave with the squares. This level has so many little ideas that just look really nice, but it's carried down by a few of those issues I mentioned. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this level. Really cool, and I love how this one's not like just a design level like Maddening was, and it actually tries something different. Having a lot of limitations you set for yourself in the editor can either bring out the creative side of you, or it's just a mess. This one's leaning very heavily on the creative side. It just needs a few more things. So yeah, that is every rated Shmigels all reviewed. This guy's definitely one of my favorite gameplay creators of all time, and while his deco wasn't perfect, it's really unique and creative. I always appreciate levels that have pretty much every part in them be very memorable. Like, if you watch, like, any Shmigels level, you're gonna remember every part. There's a lot of levels you just can't say that for. I'll definitely be looking forward to his levels in the future.